Yes, there's a time and a place for new features and new apps. But this week, I really wanted to go back to a previous app to sweat on the details of the user experience and see what I could do to make it better. Automated categories has been on the marketplace for a good 10 months or so now. And being a rule builder, it's kind of a bit of a scary space from a user experience perspective. It can get quite complicated quite quickly. And so with adding a new feature, which is custom field support, I knew I needed to rework the UI. And so this was a good opportunity to reflect on kind of the approach so far. Is it working? And what can we do to make it better? So that's what I'm going to take you through today. So this is the current version of automated categories, where when you choose a category, say the new in, you can enable automating categories and define your set of conditions. So here is just an example one. It's not one that you would kind of really use in production, but just to show you the different field types that we have. So each condition is broken up into a trio of fields where we have the name in the first one, the field, i.e. the product attribute. We have the operator. What can you do? How can you compare this name to the value that you set on the last field? So we want name contains pushchair. This one, we've got the condition of the product, where that's a select box. So we can say that it is one of or is not one of, and then choose our options. And then we have the option of choosing whether or not you want another condition, and that all these conditions need to be true in order for a field, for a product to be assigned to this category. Or you can then have an or button, which now enables you to set another set of conditions that would also trigger a product to be included in this category. As I said, this was based off of Zapier's way of doing things. But when adding custom field support, I recognized that to be able to support custom fields have a name as well as a value. So custom field might be your option in here, but then we needed to actually choose a name. So you've got a is_new custom field. And we wanted to then, putting a fourth input box into this row doesn't really work. So we knew that this was kind of the breaking point for this sort of layout, that we needed to review how we were going to do it. Secondly, we have had feedback, rule systems are hard to build, and we have had feedback that it wasn't always easy for people to get up to speed with. They've got something in their head in terms of what they want to do, kind of translating that to our interface. They struggled with it, understandably. So this was an opportunity to kind of reflect on the approach, to consider how we could kind of piece by piece sweat on the UX details and improve it. I did have help internally with our UX team here to give me some guidance on different approaches, and that was really, really helpful. So thank you, Anchor, for help there. As we go through, I'll kind of give you a little bit more detail about my thought process. It's great to use big design and the component library, but there's still a way of using it to improve on the user experience. So the first thing I changed was I did add a title to the panel to kind of give it a little bit more of a lead in, particularly as we were simplifying the form. So one of the big design and the design guidelines is if you've only got two options, either, and particularly ones that are yes, no fields, then the preference is for checkboxes over radio buttons. And so I took this opportunity to move towards that. So automate, short description with a link to find more details. You can immediately see we are inheriting, if you might be familiar with the new promotions engine in BigCommerce, a slightly different way of building out rules and laying them out. So I'm using this yellow badge to call out like the sentence that should be going through someone's head when they're building out a rule. So only include products if, and now we've got this bulleted icon, which again is from the promotions interface. Please select a field. I'm also conscious around the placeholder text on each field now. And you can see that we've hidden the other fields until you've chosen a product field. So it's kind of guiding the customer that the first thing they need to do is selecting a product field to build their rule. So we were talking about name. It's a nice, simple field to deal with. Then you can see the other fields appear, and I have auto-selected the first operator. You'll see that I've now reduced and removed the field labels, again, to try and focus on the customer reading either the placeholder, the current value of a field, so that they can continue reading this as if it was an English sentence. So only include products if name contains, and then we have our value. And then the next buttons I've changed from and or, and this one I have struggled on and not settled upon, but I wanted to get across the and is reducing the products. So every condition has to match for a product to be included. And that wasn't always clear, particularly for new users. So I think the filter icon as well as filter text kind of helps to indicate that that fact, as well as I've also used that label approach again, but this time with the gray box to show that all of these fields and trying to indicate as much as possible, just with tweaks to the UI, that all of these conditions need to be true for a product to be included in this category. Now, similarly, we can choose our fields and they kind of progressively disclose the other input fields. And then if you've got another set of products that also need to be included in this category, the text I've gone for right now is add another rule. Still on the fence, this is essentially your or condition. Still on the fence to this one, but I'm kind of thinking about the copy and what I could do here. And then again, kind of use the yellow feature badge box, whatever you want to call it, to denote that this is a separate set of products that could be in there. Now for our new field, custom field, we can choose our custom name. So it maybe is new. And then similarly, we can say exactly matches, choose our different field types. Another slightly different variation, if we choose date created. So one of the kind of features you'd want around a new in is only including products that were created in the last however many days. Before I struggled with the format for this box. If I go back to the screen where I do date created, I chose sort of before X days ago because I was sort of limited to this 3 input field approach. This time around, I have, because I've introduced these new UI components, I've now changed this to be more than or less than. So when you're using a date, you say the date created is more than 30 days ago, or 1 day ago. And similarly with less than, so that again, adopts the approach of promotions UI, so consistency with the rest of BigCommerce product, and just reads a little bit better. So automated categories now supports building out rules with custom fields, which is, I know people have been asking for a long time, and we have now hopefully improved the UI, so it's a little bit easier to understand.